Welcome to Flip Math Lesson 24 for the 6th grade. Today we're going to take a concept we looked at a little bit last year in 5th grade, and we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fraction and understanding how those things work together. We start with our first example of 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. When it comes to adding fractions, we need to make sure our denominators are the same. If our denominators are the same, in this case, we see 4, 4, 4. All of them are the same, and so we know that we can add these fractions together. You probably have the answer right already. It's not a difficult problem, but we can also visually see exactly what we're talking about here, as we see that each of these pieces is worth 1/4. And so as I draw the picture and we can see each of those fourths come together, I know that I have an answer of 3/4. So the denominator is going to stay the same going across, and then we're going to add 1 plus 1 plus 1 to get us to 3. We have our first example. Second example we want to look at is also a very, very simple idea, but we want to see exactly what's happening here. We have a half, and then we have another half, and so in the end we have 2 halves, and 2 halves together equal a complete circle. And so what we did here is our 2 comes over, and then we do 1 plus 1 to get us to 2. And so by adding the fractions together, we actually get 2/2. But we understand that 2/2 is the same as 1. And so our answer in this case would be to change that to that whole number of 1. And so we can start to see this idea come out. Then we can put this together. All right. Once again, we have common denominators with 5s, and so our answer is going to have a 5 here. So now all we need to do is add our 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. 16 plus 4 is 20. And so our answer of 20. Now in this case we have what is called an improper fraction, where we have a larger number over a smaller number. And so our numerator is larger than our denominator. And so in this case we want to reduce this. All right? And to do that, we're going to take 20 and we're going to divide by 5, since the fraction bar is the same as the division bar. And 20 divided by 5 in the end equals 4. So our answer in this case is 4. And so we see some different ideas when it comes to adding fractions. Subtracting fractions is the same idea, right? First of all, we need to have a common denominator, just like this. And since we have a common denominator, the denominator is going to go right over. And now we just need to subtract our numerator. So 6 minus 4 is going to get us 2. And so subtraction works in that way. We can also look at in a pictorial array. If I have 1/3, and I'm going to now take 1/3 away, what am I left with? It's gone, kind of gone. All right. The idea here is, yeah, our 3 comes over, and 1 minus 1 equals 0. But we don't leave it in that it's not even technically a fraction. It looks like a fraction, but it's not technically a fraction, because 0 cannot be divided by 2, or sorry, by 3. And so our answer is just plainly 0. And so we have this idea. As we work with all these things, the one thing we want to keep in mind is, what if you have a problem? I'll go back to our subtraction problem here. And what if it's 6/9 minus 3/9, for example? We see that our 9 and 9 are going to stay the same. Common denominator. 6 minus 3 gives us a 3/9. And we have a fraction. But the one thing we can't forget to do is reduce. Fractions should always be reduced if they can be reduced. So in this case, we see that we can divide 3 from both of these. All right. And so 3 divided by 3 is going to give us 1, and 9 divided by 3 is going to give us 3. And so we reduce our fractions if it is possible. So don't forget that step as you work through this idea. Then here are a couple sample problems to work through as you work with adding and subtracting fractions. That is flipped lesson 24.